Chelsea Mitchell is one of the fastest sprinters in the country. She's the blonde with a red shirt in the middle next to Terry Miller, who ran on the boys' team until about 3 years ago. Mitchell, always a girl, has lost 4 state championships to formerly male runners. Have all of you lost races and competitions to biological males?
Yes.
How many?
Too many to count.
Today, we investigate the transgender divide.
We actually had the conversation of not planning anything this year.
Farmers this year were forced to face a new natural threat, COVID-19. And Americans were forced to face some tough questions.
President Trump called me and said, "Do we have enough food?"
This week, we look at the year's hard harvest.
In one of the nation's oldest cities, history is being erased.
This is Christopher Columbus. Protesters here a few weeks ago took off the head.
They should be up because otherwise we're just running from history.
I think it's a reckoning with our history that is long overdue.
We take a tour and find some opinions are already set in stone.
Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson. The Federal Department of Education recently made a controversial ruling saying transgender high school athletes in Connecticut who competed on boys' teams cannot switch to girls' sports. The feds say that deprives girls of athletic opportunities guaranteed under civil rights law. It's a national debate that's forged some unexpected alliances. Today, we tackle the transgender divide in sports. We were there last February when the high school athletes lined up in New Haven, Connecticut for the 55-meter dash at the state track and field championships. Chelsea Mitchell, the blonde with a red shirt in the middle, was positioned next to Terry Miller, orange top, blue shorts, who ran on the boys' team until about 3 years ago. Same with Andrea Yearwood. In 2018, months after both athletes switched over from the boys' team, they dominated the girls' state championships, placing first and second. Together, they've won 15 state championship races since 2017. Here, they're speaking to ABC.
At what point do you decide, actually, it's more appropriate for me to be on the girls' team and competing with other girls?
I decided that the summer before 9th grade.
But what some see as an important step forward for transgender athletes, others see as infringing upon the rights of non-transgender girls. Have all of you lost races and competitions to biological males?
Yes, we all have.
Okay. How many races?
Too many to count.
Chelsea Mitchell is one of the fastest sprinters in the country. She's shown here in 2018, losing the 55-meter dash to Miller in red on one side and Yearwood on the other. The next year, Mitchell again loses to Miller in orange and Yearwood to the left.
It's been very unfair for me and the other girl competitors to race against them. I personally lost 4 state championships, 2 All New England awards, and countless other opportunities because of it.
Mitchell and 2 other athletes, Alana Smith and Selena Soul, have filed a federal lawsuit challenging the Connecticut policy that lets students switch from the boys' team to the girls' team without surgery or hormone treatments.
I would say that it's unfair that us biological females have to run against biological males, and that we really just want fairness in our sport and we just want change to happen.
I agree with Alana that right now the current Connecticut policy for athletics is that biological males can compete with the girls with no hormone therapy needed, and we personally don't think that's fair, and we know that girls are missing out on opportunities to be able to advance and succeed and get titles. We fully support these athletes in the way that they choose to identify themselves, but athletics have separate rules because it's about your physical advantages and your physical differences.
It's become a national conversation. Last year, Cece Telfer, raised as Craig Telfer, became the first known transgender to win a women's college track and field championship. Skylar Baylor was recruited to swim on the women's team at Harvard, but ended up deciding to compete on the men's team, the first transgender athlete to compete at the highest level of sports, Division I. Earlier this year, Megan Youngren didn't run fast enough in the end to qualify, but was the first openly transgender athlete to compete at the U.S. Olympic team trials, choosing to enter the women's field. And in New Zealand, Gavin Hubbard, who is a men's weightlifting competitor, became Laurel Hubbard and dominated the women's competition.
A beautiful day in Morrison, Colorado.
Last year, the adult cartoon South Park featured an episode called Board Girls. It lampooned the controversial notion of athletes switching from the men's field to women's.
Miss Swanson, how does it feel to be competing today?
I can't tell you how free I feel now that I've started identifying as a woman.
Further complicating the debate, some feminist allies normally counted on to support gay and transgender rights are coming down on the other side when it comes to sports. Tennis icon Martina Navratilova is outspoken, saying transgenders are robbing women of hard-fought opportunities and threatening women's sports as we know them.
It's always been about fairness in sport, and we cannot have sympathy and empathy for transgender on a smaller level, on sport level, trump, for lack of a better word, or overtake fairness for women and girls.
This is absolutely not a partisan issue, and I think that's playing out when you see radical leftist feminists, as they identify, linking arms with conservative feminist organizations saying, no, this is not fair.
Christina Holcomb is with a conservative Christian nonprofit representing Mitchell, Smith & Soul, Alliance Defending Freedom.
There was a study done that came out of Sweden just last fall that indicated that males generally have a 10 to 20% performance advantage over similarly fit and trained biological females. And those advantages are not undone by any length of hormone treatment or hormone replacement therapy. So even if it did, frankly, you would still have a male displacing a deserving young woman in her own athletic competition, something set aside for her benefit and to allow her to compete for college scholarships. So it still wouldn't be fair.
We asked for interviews with Miller and Yearwood, but neither wanted to speak with us. Instead, we talked to Asif Orr of the Transgender Youth Project at the National Center for Lesbian Rights, which says transgenders should compete wherever they wish.
In sports, there's always a competitive advantage of some sort, right? Someone got to train longer, trained harder, has some inherent athletic abilities that other athletes don't have. And so really sort of focusing on the fact that these transgender student athletes, they really just want to compete.
If I'm describing it correctly, a man or someone who has always been considered a man, including maybe himself considering himself a man, could wake up one morning and technically say, today I compete as a woman, and do that, and then say the next day I compete as a man again.
And I think that's a misconception of these policies, is that it's not that easy, and nor does that happen. As is often the case with transgender people, they recognize their gender identity usually for years prior to them coming out. Because of various social pressures or other things that kind of delays them from doing that. So this is not a situation where someone wakes up one morning and says, oh, I'm really a woman, I'm just going to go compete on women's sports.
With resentment building on both sides, there's a confounding array of policies. 9 states require high school transgenders to have surgery or extensive hormone treatment to compete on the opposite sex team. In March, Idaho became the first state to bar transgender girls from participating in girls' and women's sports. 18 states and Washington, D.C. allow transgenders to join either team without hormones or surgery. 16 states are somewhere in between, and 6 states have no explicit policy. Connecticut athletic authorities say Connecticut law is clear, and students who identify as female are to be recognized as female for all purposes, including high school sports. How did that race we saw in Connecticut last February turn out? After Mitchell had lost to Miller 2 years straight? This time, Mitchell wins. Some say that proves transgender athletes do not have an unfair advantage. On the other hand, critics say whether a transgender athlete takes first, second, or third place, it's taking a spot from someone else who would have had it. Next on Full Measure, COVID is making it a tough year for American farmers. This year's difficult harvest next. It's been a tough year for farmers. As if nature weren't enough of a challenge, coronavirus left farmers fighting not only for their survival, but also to keep food on America's tables. Scott Thuman follows the season and one family from planting to harvest.
Early summer in southern Virginia. On this farm, the corn and cotton crops have just gone in. Now it's a waiting game, hoping the months ahead will bring good weather and regular rain. For Shelley Butler Barlow and her family, who've been here for generations, this is one of the most stressful periods of the year, and just getting to this point is an achievement in 2020.
We actually had the conversation of not planning anything this year, which is unprecedented, which everyone is using that word right now, but it is. We've never had that conversation before. We always are taking risks and we're always, weighing our options, but it just feels very different this year.
COVID-19 has made this year different for farmers everywhere. When restaurants closed, many small farms, like this one in Maryland, lost nearly all their business. Virus outbreaks shuttered meat processing plants. Farmers relying on immigrant labor struggled to find workers. And when dairy farmers couldn't get their milk to supermarkets and coffee shops, some had to pour it away. From the start of the crisis, Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue had to deal with a set of problems that even worried the president.
And the President Trump called me and said, do we have enough food? I mean, is the United States going to run out of food? You can imagine, as we saw the meat cases kind of go down at one point, what kind of panic and terror that could have really led to had that been allowed to continue.
Were we close to a point that was critical on that issue?
We were close to a point in our meat processing plant with the COVID infections of the employees there. Threading that needle of how do you keep the employees safe while keeping meat cases filled was a real challenge.
On top of the pandemic, farmers had been having a difficult time for several years. Commodity prices have trended down as equipment and labor costs have gone up. Farm bankruptcies are up again this year, and the trade war with China has disrupted long-standing business relationships.
Backing up pre-pandemic, all of the trade war stuff had already hit us hard in ways that I don't understand. I know we needed to make some changes, but I think that the techniques that are being used are just crazy. I mean, you have an excellent customer, so you're gonna, beat them with a stick to get them to do what you want.
Well, there are definitely some farmers who are still upset with the president because they say trade war could be tweaked, didn't need to be blown up.
Yeah. I feel like many of them I talk to are coming to the realization that China had been playing us for a long time. This was the first president who had the courage, knowing it was going to be painful, knowing it was going to be painful to some of his constituency there, being the agricultural base there, that would take the steps to right the wrongs that had been done for China over 20 years.
Keeping farmers going during the trade war and the pandemic has meant a succession of programs to provide billions of taxpayer dollars to farmers. Can the government keep putting that money out there, extending that?
Our goal, obviously, for trade policy is for farmers to grow it and to sell it at a profit. That's what farmers want to do, and that's what we want them to do.
It's a difficult balance.
How do we have programs that really meet the needs of the farmer without going off the edge of the road on either side? We don't want to make it programmatically so lucrative that farmers farm for programs rather than the marketplace.
Mid-September, we returned to Shelley Butler Barlow's farm to check in. The corn harvest has begun, but it isn't going to be a great year. Not because of the pandemic, but because of something much more familiar to every farmer.
We went 5 weeks with no rain, which is devastating, and then it started raining again, and then it's been wet again. So, and we're never happy. Farmers are never happy, you know. Whatever it's doing, we wish, you know, if it's raining, we wish it would stop. If it's not raining, we wish it would rain. So that's just the nature of the beast.
Across the nation and on farms everywhere, there are few who will be sorry to say goodbye to 2020.
So what government support are they getting?
Well, more money. Last month, President Trump announced plans for an extra $13 billion in aid for farmers to help get them through this unprecedented year.
Thanks a lot, Scott. And coming up on Full Measure, we speak with a Latino journalist with surprising insight about how the news you watch is being shaped. On Full Measure, we've reported on the many factors impacting, even slanting, how the news is reported. Today we hear from Ruben Navarrete, a nationally syndicated Latino columnist who worked in journalism for 30 years. He has some eye-opening personal insight into how the news is shaped today. You have talked about the fact that you don't fit neatly into an expected box as a journalist. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, I think as a Latino journalist in particular, you have to deal with the numbers here. Latinos are, on the one hand, 60 million people in this country. They're the largest ethnic group. You would not know any of this from the ranks of journalists. If you look at journalism and journalistic ranks on television, on radio, digital, print newspapers, we're bare minimum, 2, 3, 4% at most in many of these places. And then they try to put you in a little box based on their preconceived notions of how you should behave.
Do you call yourself a Democrat, a Republican, mixed, neither, conservative, liberal?
I come from the Sharyl Attkisson School of Journalism that says you shouldn't have to choose. I'm an independent journalist. I am effective, most effective, when I'm calling balls and strikes.
When you look for a job as a journalist, do you feel as though they also want you to feel writing about a certain thing a certain way and that they can count on you to feel a certain way?
Yes.
But you don't always, so what problem has that posed?
I've been fired 8 times in the course of 30 years. I have many more opportunities than I've lost, so I'm grateful in the overall. But yeah, I've been fired because there are people who have a certain rigid notion of what I'm going to be like, and I don't often fit that role. So it's really kind of man without a country. It's a very interesting phenomenon to go through. And one example I can think of, I was at CNN for a number of years. And I was covering Barack Obama and the Obama administration's really terrible record of deportations. Over 8 years, the Barack Obama administration deported 3 million people, separated families, put kids in cages. And I was told by my boss I needed to stop writing about that. People are tired of reading about that. People are tired of reading about how Barack Obama, a Democrat, the first black president, has deported 3 million people, most of them Latino. And what that editor meant to say was people here are tired of hearing of that, not people out there. People in CNN, in the building, on the staff, are tired of you saying that. So ultimately given a direct order not to write about that anymore. And I wrote about it, I continue to write about it until I no longer work there.
Do you feel as though they would be happy if you wrote the same thing about the Trump administration?
Delighted. Delighted. I had no way of imagining how enthusiastic my colleagues would become. A lot of white liberals in New York City and Washington, D.C. who run media have found suddenly the compassion and love in their heart for immigrants they didn't know was there. Because for 8 years, they didn't give a crap about the fact that a Democrat and a black president was deporting all these people. But now that Trump is there, man, do they care and do they love immigrants.
We talk about how this impacts you, but of course this impacts the product that people see and the news that they get.
Right.
What do you say to them?
This idea somehow that somebody promised them that they'd get the full story is nonsense. Nobody made that promise. They may have assumed it, they may have wanted that to be the case, but I think they have to live with the choices they've made. If you want to only watch one and be siloed in your news, your consumption of news, don't be surprised when you only understand half the story. So digest your news, watch your diet. We're very careful about what we put into our bodies. We should be just as careful about what we put into our heads.
You can catch Navarrete's nationally syndicated columns twice a week in 150 newspapers belonging to the Washington Post Writers Group. And still to come on Full Measure, we go to one of America's oldest cities for the new debate about erasing history. 2020 will be remembered as a year of change, but some historical markers of change may not survive the year. Lisa Fletcher went to Boston to see how that historic town is dealing with erasing history.
In one of the nation's oldest cities, statues and memorials abound. From political leaders to sporting greats, they span Boston's nearly 400-year history. But visit today and you'll find something missing. Empty space where a towering historic figure once stood.
Well, this is Christopher Columbus. Protesters here a few weeks ago tore down or took off the head.
Mike Wensky owns and operates the Revolutionary Story Tour, walking visitors through the city's historic past.
Christopher Columbus here historically has always been an example of a brave explorer who sort of defied the conventions of his day, explored the unknown, and discovered a new world, making all of this possible.
That narrative now being challenged across the nation by many who feel the explorer is actually a symbol of conquest, death, and slavery. Across Boston, in Lincoln Square, the nation's 16th president and the Emancipation Proclamation are memorialized in a statue that shows Lincoln and either a crouching slave or rising man. It depends on who you ask. Soon, this statue will be taken down after a vote by the city's Art Commission. For many cities in the South, this has been an even busier statue-removing year, as memorials to Confederate leaders, political and military, have been coming down. While in New York, it's President Teddy Roosevelt on horseback, flanked by Native American and African American men, that will soon be gone. Back in Boston, America's first president is also being debated because George Washington, whilst a revolutionary hero, was also a prominent slave owner. Passers-by have strong opinions.
I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I still think they should be up because otherwise we're just running from history.
I think it's a reckoning with our history that is long overdue. We put up monuments to people who are, for lack of a better term, slavers and rapists and genocidal maniacs.
It's some of the best people watching in the city.
And for Mike, the walking tour guide, statues and monuments aren't nearly as important as the history and facts they point to.
The challenge of history, the beauty of history, the whole art form of history is how do you interpret those facts. And with a statue, without a statue, I can give people history.
For Full Measure, I'm Lisa Fletcher in Boston.
Next week on Full Measure, the election next time. After the mess of the 2020 presidential election, many are continuing calls to rethink the election process. What, if any, changes are coming in the U.S. where every state controls its own election process? We investigate the future of your voice next week on Full Measure. Until then, thanks for watching. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.